Yeah, I am in my favorite playground, as you know, and I'm always stoked about it. So let's get right on to it. I haven't been doing videos that much in the Grimace, so I thought I'd do one today. So what's the deal? Today we're going to talk about fats. So I've been kind of doing little snippets about protein. I've been doing snippets about carbohydrates, and I thought, you know what? A lot of you guys don't understand that eating 80% fat will make you lose body fat. They just don't get it. So I'm here to explain how and why. Yeah. Okay, so let's get right on to it. I'm looking at that guy's white shoes there, so I don't want him in the shot, so I'm just kind of holding it kind of funky. Okay, here's the deal. So to get your, first of all, you got to drop your carbohydrates down. I've mentioned that in several videos. You have to drop your carbs down to around, just in the beginning, to around 15 to 20 carbs. This isn't forever. This is just in the beginning to ensure that your body doesn't have to compete with glycogen or glucose. Then when you start to try and find your sweet spot of carb tolerance, you can potentially raise that up to a level that keeps you into ketosis, but doesn't pop you out, because if you start going up to the 30s and 40s and 50s, you could potentially not be in ketosis. And that's indicative of your age, your fitness level, and your gender. You know, and you got the business or not, I'm just saying. So before I digress, let's get back on to it. So basically, you guys want to drop those carbs down. Yeah, just drop them down. And then you want to up your fats. You want to have moderate protein, because of course, if you eat too much protein, you can go to gluconeogenesis, which is the breakdown of amino acids converted back into glucose, and the whole thing just goes down the toilet. Trust. Protein will pop you out or not get you into ketosis if you keep pushing the limits. You really want to overeat fat. You don't want to overeat carbohydrates. Obviously, you cannot, or else you'll go back to being a carb burner. And you don't want to overeat protein, because it converts back into glucose, which your body cannot metabolize or use. Okay. With that said, you guys want to up your fat. And I've done a video a long time ago about this, but I think I have to just keep reminding you, because a lot of people are still wondering, how the freaking E.G. double Ellis do you get thin on eating fat? So think about it like this. When we were hunter-gatherers, we ate, plants grow seasonally. That's a couple months out of a year. And if you think about wild berries growing, they're not like the blueberries of today. Trust me. They were bitter, sour, like lemons. So that equates that 1 teaspoon, those 4 to 5 grams of glucose that we can handle in our bloodstream at any one time, to not glycate. But with that said, being in a state of ketosis was quite easy for our hunter-gatherers. Somebody was trying to battle me on my Facebook about the Inuit tribe and how they ate all these different other parts. No. When things are like vegetation, I was like, no. When vegetation wasn't growing because it was so far north and it's cold, they would eat logs of fat. They would preserve the fat and eat it all year long with no disease in ketosis. The Maasai tribe, somebody tried to tell me that Maasai was eating bananas. And I was like, are you tripping? First of all, plantains are so starchy and bitter. They're like that big and so difficult to eat, number one. Genetically modified bananas that Eurocentrics brought, potentially. But the nomadic tribesmen, no. Goat's milk, which is very low lactose, a lot of fat, and the fatty bits of an animal. Because if you go to different cultures around the world, they're still eating the intestines, the tongue, the eyes, and the brain. These are high in fats, and they have a lovely, lovely profile of protein. But, okay, because I'm excited. Yeah. I'm always excited, most of the time. Okay, so with that said, you're going to drop your carbs down, you're going to start piling on the fat. Why do you pile on the fat? Because when you cut your carbs out, your brain thinks it's starving. Even though you're eating ample amounts of fat, the brain doesn't know what to do with the ketones in the beginning. So you starve. Your brain starves, especially if you have insulin resistance or low leptin levels or insulin or leptin resistance. or a thyroid condition, your body just doesn't know how to use the fuel anymore and get it into the cell. But when you cut down your carbohydrates, when you cut your carbs down to, let's say, 15 grams a day in the very beginning, the brain is still searching for that glucose. Even if you deplete your glycogen storages and go do like a cardio day and just deplete, so then you're forced to break down ketones, your body doesn't know how to get it through the Krebs cycle in the very beginning, so it thinks it's starving. That's not good, because that's why you feel tired and fatigued, and you might have those carb cravings pounding to get your glucose levels back up. So why, pray tell, can fat make you lose weight instead of make you fat? Well, that's because we have insulin receptor sites on our fat cells. Well, they're in the fat cells. They pop out and they gobble up the carbohydrates assisted by insulin, hence the insulin receptor sites. Now, you don't have insulin receptor sites for fat. Carbohydrates have an emergency response when you go over those 4 to 5 grams, which is a teaspoon, a little tiny little thing, and it has this emergency response, and so of course you can't poop and pee out that fast, so it's got to go somewhere, so it goes into your fat cells. Your fat cells become very efficient at that hand, taking the glucose, pulling it into the cell, and storing it. And then the cells divide. And then they have a sister generation and a daughter generation, and you get fat. That's how it works. Insulin is a hormone that gets your body to store glucose because it thinks it's starving. Even if you're not starving, that's the emergency response. That's why people get fat when they eat bread and pasta and they feel sluggish and tired, and they're becoming very, very good at storing and having high elevated levels of insulin. Now, with that said, okay, you don't have that response with fat. Fat is a very dense molecule. If you put a cracker in your mouth or a potato chip, it's going to turn to liquid. It's actually turning to glucose, sugar, in your saliva. So when it hits your blood, or when it hits your stomach, less digestion, then it can go right into your intestine and into your bloodstream and raise your blood sugar level. Now it's past that 4 grams, body freaks out, goes into your fat cells. Fat cells have a sister generation, daughter, divide, swell, multiply, and you get fat. Okay. With fat, it doesn't have that emergency response. If you eat fat by itself, you got to digest those suckers. Eating an egg, lot. Protein and fat combination, bacon, protein and fat combination. Dense molecules have to be broken down, and broken down, and broken down some more, and broken down some more, so they can be utilized as reparative, or to heal parts of your body, or to give you structure for your reproductive system, for your brain, your lungs, the cell lining. A lot of it's going to be utilized as reparative tools to fix the car, or hence the body. Yes, can fat make it into the fat cell? Yes, but a lot of it's getting used before it just gets shunted into the fat cell. It doesn't need to, there's no emergency. But with simple carbohydrates, emergency response, and hence that stuff goes right on in your fat cell. And that's what we do not want. So I hope that's a simple explanation of why, pray tell, when I went on the keto diet, first my fat was too low, because, you know, a little fat phobia, little, not a lot, just little. And I felt tired at the gym. Now, I wasn't exhausted, and I didn't go through the keto flu, which is not a real flu. It's just symptoms of kind of like withdrawal from the carbohydrates. I didn't have that response here, fuzzy, but my workouts weren't as good. I wasn't as strong. So I jacked up my fat. And I ate around 3,000, and sometimes I would hit 4,000 calories from fat. And I gained some weight. And, you know, 6, 7, 8 pounds. It's not a lot, and that was 4 months. Now, if that 3,000 to 4,000 calories was carbs, I would have gained 40 pounds. Because carbohydrates are toxic. Glucose is toxic in your body over 1 teaspoon. And that's why you guys get sick with every disease imaginable. Your hormones become downregulated, you're overtaxing your adrenals, your body has to get rid of the glucose, it gets shunted into the fat cells, you feel hypoglycemic, now you have low blood sugar, then your body sends signals to eat again, you eat again, and that whole thing starts all over again. and your hormones and your body gets tired, so it just doesn't work good. So work well. So what do you have? You have start to develop hypoglycemia, insulin resistance, because you pump so much insulin out that now the body has a hard time to just get it into the cell, but you're still hungry. Isn't that weird? It's not like you're starving. It just feels like you're never satisfied. And you only feel good while you're eating because it has a dopamine, freaking drug-like effect. Because your serotonin levels go down the toilet. As I said, your hormones don't work very well on too many processed carbohydrates. They become down-regulated, and they're not balanced. They're not in that homeostatic level. So that's why we get fat on carbs, and we don't get fat on fat by itself. It's very hard to do because fat is so satiating, because it's so thick and dense that you feel full just eating the sucker. That's why when people are like, what do I eat out at a restaurant? I'm like, just cut out the carbs. Ask for extra avocado or olive oil or butter. Protein and green veggie should do the trick out at a restaurant. You should be good to go. So guys, that's it. If you want to learn more, you can go to stephanieperson.com. Where are we? Okay. Or Stephanie the Business Person on my fan page, and I try to answer everyone's questions. Or you could go to my Instagram, which is Stephanie KETOGENIC, and I do little 15-second videos. And since I've been a photographer for 24 years, got some of my photography there and workouts and small stuff. But that's it, guys. Yeah, I hope that answers your question why you do not get fat on eating fat, especially by itself. Now, if you put butter on bread, terrible. Now the butter has a vehicle via the carbs and insulin to get into the fat cell via those hands, those insulin receptor sites that just gobble up the carbs that you just ate. That's why people develop diabetes, and they get overweight, type 2, because their body's shunting. Instant fat cell, divide, multiply, get fatter, store. So that's why you lose weight on keto. But you have to go in stages, you guys. You have to get your brain to understand ketones, because in the beginning it doesn't know what to do with the ketone. It's like, I'm gaining weight on keto. Yeah, you're gaining weight because you cut out your carbs and you're so freaking carb crack addicted that when you stop eating your carbohydrates and you're eating a lot of fat, you don't know how to break down the fat and use it. So what's going to happen to that fat? It's going to be stored. You might gain a couple pounds. But then once the body learns how to use those ketones, you cross the bridge over to ketosis land, and the energy starts to go through the roof. Your mental clarity and cognition goes through the roof. Memory. And you sleep better, and your hormones come back to balance. That's what you guys should be thinking about first. And then once you're highly adapted, the fat will come off, because your body will go to the restaurant of your belly and have a lunch. And that takes time. Be patient, guys. It's going to happen. Peace out.